Okay, so I'm gonna start. So I'm gonna learn Manning now. Wait for that thing. First, I'm gonna try to do
Use VS Code,
the Jupyter notebook on VS Code.
Visual Studio Code from Microsoft for Jupyter Notebook. So if you are not familiar, the Jupyter Notebook has been supported by VS Code so that you can create a new notebook or you can open an existing notebook. You can do everything that you want to do it in a browser, but inside your VS Code. VS Code is becoming one of the most popular IDEs, editors for a lot of developers. So this support is really appreciated because if you are actually working in a production code which is usually a .py file and you want to prototype of a notebook, if you type notebook you would see all these options. You have to make sure that interpreter, that given the interpreter that you're using, so whatever interpreter that you're using, you have to make sure your browser and your editor you can do everything inside. So the first important thing is the interpreter that you're using. So whatever interpreter that you're using, you have to make sure that interpreter, that given interpreter has VS Code, Jupyter Notebook installed. So you can check it by simply first, okay, let me enable the developer. If you press Command Shift and P, you would get this quick menu where you can actually go ahead and create a new blank Jupyter notebook. There are other options that you can try also. What other options that you have for notebook? If you type notebook, you would see all these options, and you can also learn the shortcuts, how to change a cell from code to markdown, how to change a cell from markdown to code, or you want to add a new cell above, add a new cell below. So you can do all those things. But to start with, you have to create a new blank Jupyter notebook. When you create,
it's Ctrl Shift P on Windows to open up the tab that is showing there. Command palette. Ctrl Shift P.
This thing, please make sure that you have got your Jupyter server connected. So this makes sure that you have an active kernel, and then your Jupyter this interface has connected with the Jupyter server actually. If this does not happen, so you have to then make sure you have to probably open your terminal, and then you have to install Jupyter, pip3 install Jupyter. So if that doesn't happen, then you have to open your terminal and then do pip3 Jupyter. Okay, but right now that is not required, and this is how you create an empty new Jupyter notebook using VS Jupyter server connected. So you can actually go ahead and create a new blank Jupyter notebook. There are other options.
Oh, that's super easy. I think I did
That you
it.
can try also. What other options do you have for notebook? If you type notebook, you would see all these options, and you can also learn the shortcuts, how to change a cell from code to markdown, how to change a cell from markdown to code, or you want to add a new cell above, add a new cell below. So you can do all those things. But to start with, you have to create a new blank Jupyter notebook. When you create this thing, please make sure that you have got your Jupyter server connected. So this makes sure that you have an active kernel, and then your Jupyter this interface has connected with the Jupyter server actually. If this does not happen, so you have to then make sure you have to probably open your terminal, and then you have to install Jupyter, pip3 install Jupyter. So if that doesn't happen, then you have to open your terminal and then do pip3 Jupyter. Okay, but right now that is not required, and this is how you create an empty new Jupyter notebook using VS Code. So there is nothing else required. If you are using the latest version of Jupyter notebook, and if you have got latest version of VS Code, and you have got Python installed, so this will be available for you by default. So given that, so how can you create a cell? So this this first cell comes by default. So let's say you want to create a new cell, you can go ahead and press this thing, that will give you a new cell, or you can escape, you can press escape. So this cell is now in an edit mode. This is an edit mode. If you escape, you can see the change of this color. So now this is in a command mode. So when you have this cell in a command mode, you can press A to enter a new cell above it. You can press B to enter a new cell. Sorry, you have to go to the command mode. B to create a new cell below it. So this keyboard shortcut is as synonymous with your Jupyter notebook that you use on your browser. So A for a new cell above the current cell, B for a new cell below the current cell. So now let us say that maybe this cell you don't want it to be a code, but you want it to be a markdown. So you can go ahead and click this button. So this will convert this cell from code to markdown. Let's say this is a demo. So you can see that this is a demo. Now maybe you don't want this to be a markdown, you want it to be code, but you don't want to click this and change. You don't want to click this and change, but what you want to do is you want to use a shortcut. The shortcut for that is you have to click Y. So when you click Y, when you click Y, oh, it's already a code. When you click Y, it becomes a code. When you click M, it becomes a markdown. Okay. let's click this and then let's go ahead and say.
The awkward thing about Jupyter Notebook is that I don't know about how to translate the notebook to a normal file later.
Okay, I don't want it to be a markdown, I want it to be a code. So when you want it to be a markdown, you can click M and you, sorry, Y, it changes. So M and Y for you to change it to markdown and code. So now the notebook, not just for understand here is it, this Jupyter, click this and it will
I think I'm gonna follow this tutorial here. This is the Manum library. To install it, you have to do pip install. It's quite easy. Oh, it worked. So I just copy paste this and call the function. Let's see if it does anything. Hold Z on the keyboard while scrolling the middle mouse button to zoom the screen. Oh, it's taking a while to load. I also wanna read the code that I downloaded from Is repo. I've briefly looked at it from the video about the Newton fractal, and it has 5,000 lines of code. So it's insane. It probably took a lot of time to do that. I'm not sure if this is gonna load. Looks like it doesn't work for some reason. Maybe I'll just do a normal Python file. couldn't find Ffmpeg or if I'm just gonna close this. I'm gonna try pip install. It looks like it works.
What's up, my name's TechNoba here for Troubleshoot, and in today's video we're going to be revisiting an older topic that I've already covered. This over here. How to download and install Ffmpeg on Windows 10. A year and a month have passed, it's got quite a few views, and unfortunately the download method has changed, meaning that this video guide is outdated. This website showcased in the video, zerono.com, was hosted by a Redditor, and unfortunately it closed on September 18th, 2020. Thank you for your help to the community, and hopefully this video will help you. So we're going to be going through downloading, installing, and getting Ffmpeg to work everywhere on your Windows 10 computer in November 2020 and onwards. If the download links are changed again, make sure to let me know and I'll get to making another updated video. So similarly to the previous video, simply head across to ffmpeg.org, then click download, and we're taken to this page here. Hover over the Windows icon and then select either Gyan.dev or BTBN. I'll be opening up both these tabs as one of these websites may go down sometime in the future. Simply pick one of these two. So Gyan over here has a couple of downloads. There are 4 specific sections: Git Full, Git Essentials, Release Full, and Release Essentials. The ones with Git before them are built from the master branch, and Release are built from the latest release, meaning that they should be more stable. Full versus Essential simply means that the full version comes with a large set of libraries, and the Essentials comes only with commonly used libraries. Depending on what you need, you can download either of these. So if you'd like the cutting edge, stick to the Git downloads, which should be at the very top over here. Otherwise, scroll down further to the release section over here and download either Full or Essentials by clicking on one of these. .7z files are the same as the zip file over here, but they're much more compressed, as you can see. If I download this one over here, all we have to do is click Details and visit the site if you see that it might contain dangerous or harmful programs. It doesn't. These are simple FFmpeg builds that are officially advertised on the official FFmpeg site. This 7z file opens up like any other zip file, except you'll need 7zip or another advanced unzipping program to open it up. But to keep the file, unfortunately, I can't click Accept here. I have to click Show All or head across to my download section over here and then click Keep Dangerous File. Keep anyway, and then we can open it up with 7zip if we already have it installed. If you don't have 7zip, simply head across to the second link in the description down below and download the Windows 64-bit installer for 7zip. Then double click on the 7z file when it's done installing, and you should be able to open it up in something like this. But before we run through the install process, let's check the other download website, this BTBN download site over here. As you can see, there's a ton more choice. All of these are the Windows 64 builds, but you'll see GPL or LGPL, General Public License, or Lesser General Public License. The difference between licenses will also mean a difference between libraries and support inside of FFmpeg. As far as I know, this one over here was built with the GPL license, as if I open up the zip file, head into the folder, drag and drop the license out, and open it in something like no.
FFmpeg, a complete cross-platform solution to record, convert, and stream audio video into different platforms. Go from one format to other format. And
Hey guys, welcome back to Crown Geek, and in this video I will be explaining you that how to download, install and use FFmpeg on Windows computer. So you might have seen many other videos where people are explaining that how you can download and how you can install it, but they are not giving the proper tutorial that how to exactly use it. There are many people, like personally I got 4 to 5 requests that they want to know that how exactly to use it, because most of them are failing because everyone is not so technical, right? So I will be explaining you step by step. First how you can download it, and then how you need to install it, and then how you to use it. But I'm bringing all these videos to help you. So to help me, please consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the red subscribe button, it's totally free. Okay, let's start the video. So the number one, you just need to go to Google and the Google search FFmpeg, and you will be getting the first link. Click on it, and now here in the green tab it says download. Click on it again,
Exactly.
and now here you have
right here. I don't get this. Great. Nobody has a solution. So I need you. I don't know how to download this. Apparently I need to download this and then create a path variable. So it looks like I've installed so now I need to find this bin file, I think. And add to the path variable. Let me try this Python 3 pip install thing. It says it's already installed. Python. Side packages. I found it, I think. I'm not sure if I need to add one or modify an existing one. Try adding a different one. Square just circle is not. Couldn't find FFmpeg.
Notepad, you'll see that it's the general public license. So I would assume that the ones with just GPL will be the most similar to the other download side. I would avoid downloading LGPL unless you know the difference. These two over here, GPL Vulkan, and simply just GPL. Vulkan adds Vulkan support, which Ffmpeg added sometime back in March. As for a performance difference, I have absolutely no idea, unfortunately. Then the final most important difference is the file name at the very beginning. The one with a very long number and a capital N are the nightly builds, or simply the builds that are taken straight off the GitHub source and built from there. The ones with N followed by 4.3.1-25 or something like that are the official releases that have been built and packaged up. Again, we see GPL, LGPL, as well as just a normal one and one with shared. Now, I would assume that the shared one uses libraries that already exist on your PC, so simply downloading this one over here would be the best for the full release, and this one over here would be the best for the nightly release. After you pick it, simply click on it to download it, and we can open it up without the need for something like 7-zip. Of course, the download will be a bit bigger. When you do eventually download it and open up one of the zips or 7-zip files, you'll see a folder inside of it. Opening it up, we have presets, doc, bin, readme, and license. All we're really interested in here is the bin folder, as it contains the built Ffmpeg binaries. So let's get to installing. First of all, hit Start E to bring up a new file explorer and head across to your C drive. Of course, you can put this anywhere, but the easiest thing to do would be to put it in C, followed by, say, path programs, or simply a folder named Ffmpeg. I already have it installed here. All you have to do is simply drag and drop the Ffmpeg exes into a known location on a drive. So for me, Ffmpeg is now installed in C path_programs Ffmpeg as such. Let's go ahead and add it to our system so that it recognizes where this file is. I'll hit start and type in path. Then we'll click Edit the System Environment Variables. After this window opens up, simply head across to Environment Variables at the very bottom. Then we'll locate Path under User Variables. Otherwise, if you'd like it to apply for all users, simply select it under System Variables, Path as such. Simply pick one and then click Edit. We have a huge list of files and folders over here. I already have.
I think I did the variables wrong.
I'll hit start and type in path. Then we'll click Edit the System Environment Variables. After this window opens up, simply head across to Environment Variables at the very bottom. Then we'll locate Path under User Variables. Otherwise, if you'd like it to apply for all users, simply select it under System Variables, Path as such. Simply pick one and then click Edit. We have a huge list of files and folders over here. I already have it added. I'll go ahead and select it and click Delete to remove it. All you have to do is click New at the very top and then type in the file location. You can, of course, simply select the file location at the top, copy the text, and paste it into the window here. After doing that, simply hit Enter or click anywhere else, click OK, and OK once again. After closing out of the System Properties window, we've now successfully installed Ffmpeg. How do we know it's installed? Well, we simply check with Command Prompt. Hold down Start, press R, and then simply type in cmd. After this black console window opens up, type in Ffmpeg. After hitting Enter, you'll see a whole bunch of text. How do we know it's installed? Well, we simply check with Command Prompt. Hold down Start, press R, and then simply type in cmd. After this black console window opens up, type in Ffmpeg. After hitting Enter, you'll see a whole bunch of text returned back.
It says object not found.
Back to you. This is coming from the FFmpeg binary inside of this folder over here. We can simply type in the file name, as we've added this folder here to the known locations where it should check file names. And that's about it, you're basically done. At this point, if you have a script such as a batch file that converts a bunch of video or audio, you can simply double click on it, it'll run and use the FFmpeg inside of this folder over here, assuming that there aren't conflicts with FFmpeg binaries inside of other path folders or inside of the folder with the actual script in it. That's about it for this video. If you're interested in using FFmpeg to quickly remix video, do check the description down below. Other than that, my name's been Technobo here for Troubleshoot, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao! What's up, my name is Technobo here for Troubleshoot, and in today's video we're going to be running through a simple issue that you may be having if you use Audacity. So I'll simply go ahead and open it up, and then I'll try and import a .aac file as such. As you can see, the file is an advanced audio coding file. Without the optional FFmpeg library, Audacity cannot open this file type, otherwise you need to convert it to import it. Now, I'm not such a huge fan of converting things because it can lose quality or will end up in much bigger or smaller file sizes, etc, etc. So, how exactly do we fix that issue? Well, if you get that pop-up by dragging something into it, there's a little question mark over here that takes you to the help page over here. Now, we're not exactly looking for this, as this will lead us down a rather long rabbit hole. So without navigating your way through the help files, how exactly do we fix that? Well, open up Audacity and then head across to Edit, followed by Preferences, or hit Ctrl-P. Then when you see this page over here, head across to the Libraries tab over here, and we see this. FFmpeg import export library, FFmpeg library version, FFmpeg library not found. If it says not found, then all we have to do is follow the two buttons down here. First of all, simply click download and we'll get taken to this page over here. Then we'll select Windows, Mac or GNU
Let's see if I restart the this code works. If it doesn't work, I think I'm just gonna code the Schrodinger equation. And I'll do this off string. Yeah, it says couldn't find. I'm gonna try one more time. I'm putting another path and seeing what happens. Doesn't work, then I'm gonna do this another time. It's probably not gonna work, to be honest. It's still same problem. Guess I can try this last one here. Looks like installed. Let's see if this works now. Didn't show an error message. This time it didn't give me any error messages, so but I still might not open. Another thing you can try to do is run on the shell, the command line, the terminal, instead of running on the interactive window. Or I can just use PyCharm. I guess I'm gonna look at this for now. And I also want you to take a look at the code from this video, so you can also do that as well.
Today we're going to look at the biggest beauty of quantum mechanics, the time-dependent Schrodinger equation. I've already made a video where I've looked at the time-independent Schrodinger equation, but of course solving the time-dependent Schrodinger equation lets us get the time evolution of a quantum state. In other words, if we put a particle in some system, how does the probability of measuring certain energies in that system change throughout time? And of course, that's the main topic of most undergrad physics courses. The problem, of course, in most of these courses is that you can only study very specific potentials. On a computer, using numerical methods, you can solve for any potential that you want. And that's what we're going to do today. We'll solve the time-dependent Schrodinger equation using two independent methods, and we will verify them by comparing their solutions with each other. Anyways, let's get started on the video. Hermann Rudolph Joseph Alexander Schrodinger. Time-dependent Schrodinger equation. And I'm also using Science Plots. It's a library that you can install if you like. If you don't want this, or you don't want to install that, I would just comment out this line. But it's also in the Docker image that I've provided as well. So the time-dependent Schrodinger equation, I want to just sort of review the math before we actually get into the coding here. And so this is the form of the time-dependent Schrodinger equation in the position basis. You've probably seen this before. This is the partial with respect to time. Just sort of review the math. It's a library that you you can install if you like. If you don't want this, or you don't want to install that, I would just comment out this line, but it's also in the Docker image that I've provided as well. So the time-dependent Schrodinger equation, I want to just sort of review the math before we actually get into the coding here. And so this is the form of the time-dependent Schrodinger equation in the position basis. You've probably seen this before. This is the partial with respect to time. You have Planck's constant and all this stuff. And then it's located in a potential, but there's boundary conditions here. And that means that it isn't an infinite square well, right, to an extent, but there's a potential in the middle, right? So even though it's bounded like this, there's a potential in the middle that could be doing whatever. You could have like another sort of well in the center. You could have all sorts of things going on with v of x. The true infinite square well is v of x equals 0 that you're probably used to. And so this equation has a lot of parameters that are kind of a nuisance to deal with, and we don't really want to deal with them, like m and h bar and all that stuff. And we can convert it to a simpler equation to solve mathematically on the computer where we don't have to deal with those parameters. And then at the very end, you can put in those parameters that you want and get the specific situation that you're interested in. For example, maybe you're interested in an electron in a particular well or something like that. L, of course, is the length here of the well. And so what I do is I multiply both sides of this equation by ml squared to get this equation here. And I choose the convention h bar is equal to 1. This is pretty standard, and it sets the units for the problem. So that joules essentially is equal to 1 over seconds, right? This is a convention. And then I also make the transformation. X prime is x over L, t prime is t over ml squared, and v prime is ml squared v. The motivation here is that I have this t in the denominator here, and I have ml squared h bar above. And I absorb that into something like this. Here I have L and X, so X over L is a good dimensionless quantity, and V prime, of course, I'm absorbing all three of these into one constant. And you can check that that just sort of resorts to this equation here when I make all these substitutions for T prime, X prime, and V prime. And so this is a lot easier to solve because there's a lot less parameters that we need to deal with. And so we can solve these. So there's two techniques we're going to look at today for solving the m+1 in quantum mechanics. And so once you have these eigenstates and eigenenergies, like your eigenvectors and your eigenvalues,
I was gonna code, but I guess I'm just gonna
Consider a
read the three blue and brown. Cool.
particle of mass m that is forced to move only in the x-axis by the force F of x of t. If classical mechanics give me the x as a function of t, I should be able to find its velocity, momentum, kinetic energy, and so on. So finding the correct x of t turns out to be very important. Luckily, we have tools we can use to get this. Newton tells us that F equals ma in a conserved system, and we know things are conserved in this universe. This wave function and
I'm gonna read the library, and then I'm gonna look at the code from
And
Oops. Honestly, I'm thinking about doing this off stream. It might take a long time to just figure out how to set everything up. And it looks like it's how can I say this? Stopping my computer from working. This is the file from the Newton fractal thing. It's massive.
The most important thing is that the file size of this Ffmpeg is 69 megabits. So just as a little info. A huge thanks to my Patreon supporters for making this episode possible. Good morning, fellow mathematicians! Welcome back to another video. First things first, brand new algebra merge just dropped, so check that out. Link will be at the top of the description. But that's not the main point of the video. Okay, I'm doing a little collab here, bi-weekly thing probably, with my boy VCubings. Vivek, say hello, Vivek.
Hi.
Yes, this is Vivek. We have created a collaboration already on his channel, so go over to his channel and here's some information about him, and after that we are going to talk about what we are going to do in this video. Talk, Vivek.
Okay, so I make math videos using the tool we're going to talk about in this video. So it's 3 Blue 1 Brown's engine, Manum, and I make math videos regarding that. I try to make all sorts of topics from like calculus to, I don't know, graph theory to probability. So if you want to watch math videos using his engine, you can check out my channel, which will probably be in the description.
Yes, exactly. Since our collaboration, he's nicely growing, so let's try to keep him growing. He's really doing a great job. He's a really smart guy. And today we are going to talk about how to install Manum, so the engine that 3 Blue 1 Brown and me and Vivek are using on Windows, and after that on Mac. Vivek is going to take over this part. The thing is, installing Manum is the hardest part about working with Manum. We tried this out yesterday. It failed miserably. We tried 1.5 hours because something with Mictash was really weird, and now we are doing this on a second take on my main laptop it is. So yeah, we are going to try it out. Also, this is going to be like a little podcasty thing, so maybe you can find the whole thing on the other channel, and here we are just going to do some tutorial and chill. Alright, so I hope you are in for that. If you want to know more about Manum bi-weekly series, soon. We are going to start with the installation. Okay, Vivek, tell me something.
Okay, so first of all, you need to install Python, but also along with Python, I would recommend having a text editor. So I personally use Vim, but a lot of people can use, like a popular one now is Visual Studio Code or Sublime Text. And you can think of it as simply a text editor like Notepad, but except it has the colors, so it looks good. Anyways, so the first step I'd say is installing Python. So you can just go to python.org and download Python from there.
Yes, exactly. I'm on the site already, so yeah, just to show people. Yeah, move on.
So I think that you could probably use Python 3.7, which is, I think, yeah, Python 3.7 is what I would recommend. But yeah, so when you're installing it, there should be an option to add to path. So if you don't click that, it's okay. You can still do it after. But if you click that, it makes things a lot easier. So for Windows, you need to add things to the path so that when you go into the terminal and you type Python, it like comes up.
Yes, exactly. We had this problem yesterday. So on my Surface Pro, I just did reinstall Python 3.7 because I had an old version on there, and then we had to add it to the path manually. We're going to show you how to do this because it can happen in some cases. If you're on the Python side, just download Python 3.7, the version you want, 64, 32, etc. And now for the path. You're simply going to go to your Windows and you are going to search for path in there, and then edit the system environment variables is going to pop up. You're going to open this, you're going to go to the environment variables, and then we have two options, either the user variables for Jens Fehlau, this is me if you didn't know already, alright, and then the system variables in general. Do a simple double click on the path, and then a new window is going to pop up. That's the boy, and what you would like to do is to add those two paths. It's basically shown here on the desktop, what you need to do, or in the video, but you can also find it down there in the description on what you need to type in. All you really have to do is change your username. So if you want to edit it, you just need to change your username here. And also it can happen that you are going to download Python 3.7 minus 32-bit, then you also need to change this thing to negative 32, okay?
Now add this stuff. See. Issue is that I've installed Python in a different folder. Because my main, different hard drive. Because my main hard drive doesn't have memory. Now I think I've added
Same
all of
spiel
them.
with the other one here. So those are the two that you need to add, and this basically already does the job.
That's the first part done. But the next part is tech itself. So we need to install tech because when we render the animations, the text and the numbers are made using compiling tech. So for Windows, it's just MIGTech. So you can go to migtech.org, I think it is.
Yes, alright.
And it's going to be in the description.
Yes. And
yeah, so you just go to MIGTech and make sure you download the latest version, because when we initially did this for Papa Flammy, an issue we had was that we were using an old version of MIGTech that he had used like before, but when we reinstalled it, it became fine. So
yeah, the thing is, for me, something weird happened. It seems like I had an outdated package there, like a LaTeX package on my Surface Pro, and then reinstalled it, and it was like weirdly outdated. Now I can't uninstall MIGTech anymore, and there's no way I can fix it on my Surface Pro. So if you want to do this, uninstall MIGTech first and then install the new thing, okay? just to make
Yeah.
really sure nothing bad happens. So, we don't want to reinstall Windows. Am I right, guys? Okay, install Migtash, just download it, install it, do all the updates, and then you are basically settled, alright?
So the next thing we're going to need to install is Ffmpeg, and this is basically the thing that helps Manum piece the video together. So there's probably a link in the description. You just go to this website and download the Windows version if you're on Windows, and Mac will do later. So
Yes.
I guess you could download the 64-bit version. And it's not an installer, it just comes with some binaries, and we're going to have to do the same add to path thing we did for Python.
And the most important thing is that the file size of this Ffmpeg is 69 megabits. So just just as a little info. So what you do is you drag it onto your desktop, and you also have to rename this folder into exactly what I have already here on my desktop. Or I don't. No, we have to rename it to capital Ffmpeg. And then you are going to copy this exact folder into your local disk C. You're going to put it in here. You can see I already have it in here. Okay, download it, rename it, put it in there. That's the first step. After that, we need to go to the environment variables yet again. Go to capital Ffmpeg. And then you are going to copy this exact folder into your local disk C. You're going to put it in here. You can see I already have it in here. Okay, download it, rename it, put it in there. That's the first step. After that, we need to go to the environment variables yet again. Go to path, and you just add this as a new path. C:/ffmpeg/bin. And then you are basically done with this part.
Yeah, and if you want to just, there's also a WikiHow tutorial with pictures, WikiHow tutorial that
As a new path. C:/f.
Let me see if I... Python... Leave.
There. That's the first step. After that, we need to go to the environment variables yet again. Go to path, and you just add this as a new path. C:/ffmpeg/bin. And then you are basically done with this part.
Yeah, and if you want to just, there's also a WikiHow tutorial with pictures, WikiHow tutorial that just shows how to do it. So if you wanted to do that, that's also fine.
Yes. Works the same way,
Yes.
just saying, okay.
Yeah. So I guess the next thing we need to install is socks, and this is for the sound part. So there's just a link in the description. You just go there and install it. Shouldn't be an issue. So I'll send you the link in Discord, so you can just go there, and then there should be a big green download button, and you just click on that, and then it should work.
Totally not a virus, totally not a virus.
Yeah.
You can safely
definitely
download
not
it.
a virus.
Also, I'm also wearing socks at the moment, just if you are wondering.
I'm not.
Okay. How can my laptop wear socks? Just download it. Great virus, mate. Okay, yeah, download it, and then you are done. Just install it.
Yeah.
It works
Yeah.
by itself.
Okay, so now this is the next part is a bit of a interesting part. So we're gonna need to install PyCairo. So the way we do this is by using some website that hosts all of the libraries. So we're gonna go there, and then we're gonna look for the version you downloaded. So in this case, I think Papa Fami downloaded version of Python 3.7 64-bit.
Yes,
So
and don't be scared about this website, okay? It looks quite intimidating, but just press Control F for the search option, and then just type PyCairo in there, and you are going to be tracked down. And
Yeah.
I believe I need CP37. I'm going to zoom in a tiny bit. CP37, AMD 64.
Correct.
I think, yes.
But if you install 32-bit version of Python, you would need Win32.
Yes, if you are wondering what the 37 means, it just means Kai Pyro for Python 3.7. So yeah, just if you are wondering. If you have downloaded Python 3.8, you need the 83 version, and then for your system that you are using 64 or 32.
Yeah.
I can download it real quick. And it's not going to be an executable, alright? It's just a weird file that is going to pop up. And next, if I remember correctly, you are going to open your CMD. And then, in my case, I downloaded it into the download folder. So you are going to redirect the directory that you are going to execute it on. So cd downloads. Now it works out. You can see that it worked out because we are now in the download folder. And now we need to type something weird in Python negative something. I think Vivek is going to tell me what it is.
So if you added Python to path perfectly, not perfectly, like correctly, then if you type Python into the command prompt, it should open up the shell. So why don't you try doing that and see if it works?
Yes, I did do so. You can see that we are now doing everything in Python 3.7, and now there's also this command line. Alright, I'm in downloads yet again, and now we have seen that Python has been installed correctly. And now for the next step, it's something weird that we have to type in. I can't remember it for shit.
Yeah, so you need to type in python-m pip install. So these 4 words, and then you can type like pyc, and if that's the only file you have with those 3 like letters in the beginning,
just press tab.
In your download folder. You can just press tab.
Exactly. Then you can press enter, and then it's going to take a while to install. I have already installed it, so I'm not going to press enter yet again. Not worry, nothing bad is going to happen. It's going to install, and it's going to be indicated once it's done installing, because then you are going to see just this line yet again, that you are in C users blah 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 downloads yet again, and you can type in stuff again.
Okay, so for the next step, we're gonna have to install the actual requirements for Manum. So it's going to be like whatever Python libraries we need to run it. So if you go to this link, there should be all of the requirements needed to run Manum, the Python library requirements. So what you can do is you can just go there and you copy all of this stuff that is in this file into a file called requirements.txt, say on your desktop.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to do this real quick. Requirement.txt. You're going to paste everything into here. No, not, yes, exactly. Okay. And with the requirements being done, we need to leave it on the desktop, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So then we can go back into the terminal, or command prompt.
Yes. And then do the cd desktop again. Now it did work out, alright?
Yeah. Then you need to install it. So I'm gonna type so if you just put that in, it should install.
Yeah, it's like the same command as before. So just put it in. Press enter, and it's going to install the whole thing. This should only take about a minute, so it doesn't take too long. There's not much.
Yeah, and it should just install. If you already have it, it's not gonna override. So you just
Okay, just press enter and install it if you didn't do so already.
Yeah.
All right, and now we are basically about to install the main library, the Manum library.
Yeah.
And then we can
So if you just put this in, so like we installed before, we're just gonna install the actual Manum lib. So if you just do python-m pip install Manum lib, you can also just do pip install Manum lib if I'm not wrong. But for some reason that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, who knows. This is going to take a while, this process. I'm not going to install it again because I have it installed already, but if you follow those instructions, it should work out perfectly if you don't get weird stuff like I did with Migtech. So just follow this. If you have any of the other stuff already installed, try uninstalling it and then go through the whole process again, and it should work out. It should work out. At least it did for me on my Asus ZenBook Pro Duo. Install it. It's going to take approximately 5 minutes. It's going to take quite a while.
So I guess the next thing we can do is just test it and see if it works.
Yes.
So if you can do is you can just open a file on your desktop, a .py file. So I think you know how to do that.
Yes, I'm just going to open idle from Python, and I'm going to create a new file. And then we are going to put some stuff into there.
Yeah. So there's going to be, in the description, there should be a link to some, or not a link, or some code you can use to test it out.
So we have something here. Going to copy it. Put it into here. And now I'm going to save it as a Python file. Okay, I have saved it now. We have a certain file name, and now something didn't work out for me. This is why I have a weird file name. And what you would like to always do, you are going to specify that you are on the desktop. So always put in cd desktop at first. Or at least it depends on where your Python file is at the moment. Put it into here. okay, called videos.
The Manum thing. And
Okay.
okay, now let's learn how to install Manum on Mac. So the first thing we're going to
You've seen the title, so you know this is leading to a certain fractal. And actually, it's an infinite family of fractals. And yeah, it'll be one of those mind-bogglingly intricate shapes that has infinite detail no matter how far you zoom in. But this is not really a video about generating some pretty picture for us to gawk at. Well, okay, maybe that's part of it, but the real story here has a much more pragmatic starting point than the story behind a lot of other fractals. And more than that, the final images that we get to will become a lot more meaningful if we make an effort to understand why, given what they represent, they kind of have to look as complicated as they do, and what this complexity reflects about an algorithm that is used all over the place in engineering. The starting point here will be to assume that you have some kind of polynomial, and that you want to know when it equals 0. So for the one graphed here, you can visually see there's 3 different places where it crosses the x-axis, and you can kind of eyeball what those values might be. We'd call those the roots of the polynomial. But how do you actually compute them, exactly? Now this is the kind of question where if you're already bought into math, maybe it's interesting enough in its own right to move forward. But if you just pull someone on the street aside and ask them this, I mean, they're already falling asleep, because who cares? But the thing is, this kind of question comes up all the time in engineering. Where I'm personally most familiar with equations.
Honestly, I think I'm gonna do this off stream. It just might take a long time. And the next time, when I have everything set up, I'm gonna start trying to build stuff with Manning. This is gonna be really difficult as well to understand what's written here because I don't understand the workflow here. Like which function is calling what function. There's so many lines. 5,000 lines. So it's just one class, I'm assuming, with a bunch of methods. Super init means that it's probably inheriting something from other classes. Let me see if I can run this. Home module name. Yeah, I'm gonna have to install Manim first in order to be able to do this. And I think it's gonna be better to start small with some simple programs, then I can start to understand how this was done.
like this popping up is in the setting of computer graphics, where polynomials are just littered all over the place. So it's not uncommon that when you're figuring out how a given pixel should be colored, that somehow involves solving an equation that uses these polynomials. Here, let me give you one fun example. When a computer renders text on the screen, those fonts are typically not defined using pixel values. They're defined as a bunch of polynomial curves, what are known in the business as Bezier curves. And any of you who've messed around with vector graphics, maybe in some design software, would be well familiar with these kinds of curves. But to actually display one of them on the screen, you need a way to tell each one of the pixels of your screen whether it should be colored in or not. These curves can be displayed either with some kind of stroke width, or if they enclose a region, some kind of fill for that region. But if you step back and you really think about it, it's an interesting puzzle to figure out how each one of the pixels knows whether it should be colored in or not, just based on the pure mathematical curve. I mean, take the case of stroke width. This comes down to understanding how far away a given pixel is from this pure mathematical curve, which itself is some platonic ideal. It has zero width. You would think of it as a parametric curve that has some parameter t. Now, one thing that you could do to figure out this distance is to compute the distance between your pixel and a bunch of sample points on that curve, and then figure out the smallest. But that's both
I'll do this off stream, so I might come back later if I figure this out. And start trying to do this stuff. So yeah, see ya.